Curtis held the wheel at 9-3 and breathed slowly, which was the only thing he could control. The radio had gone quiet. His spotter Dana gave him one update every 30 seconds. Position, gap, what was coming behind him. She had learned over 2 seasons together that he did not want conversation during the final laps of a superspeedway race. He wanted information delivered clean and silence between. He was running second with 11 laps to go. Second was not first. Second at Daytona was a fact that required no elaboration. You finished second at Daytona and you went home and you thought about it for a year until the next one. Gap to the leader is 4 car lengths, Dana said. The 48 is right behind you. The 9 and the 2 are a half-second back. He was in a sandwich. The car ahead was his teammate in the 45, a driver named Reeves who had been with 23XI for 1 season and who Curtis had been working with all day in the tandem alliance they had built over the first 100 laps. The car behind was not his teammate. The car behind had its own plans. The Daytona 500 always came down to trust and betrayal in some combination, and the combination was always different, and you never knew until the last few laps which one you were going to experience. "Reeves, I need to know you're holding your line," Curtis said on the team channel. A half-second pause. Then Reeves's voice steady. "I'm holding. You push, I'll take you to the line." That was the agreement. That had been the agreement since lap 160 when they had found each other after the last caution shuffled the field and they had built a gap together that had kept them at the front for 20 laps. Curtis moved closer to the 45 car, close enough that the airflow between them merged and the push became real. The physics of 2 2,000-pound cars working together. The front car pulling the rear car forward. The rear car pushing the front. Done right, it was more than the sum of the parts. Done wrong, it was both cars in the wall. 10 to go, Dana said. The 48 is trying to come out of your draft. Curtis felt it before she said it. A slight push from behind that wasn't straight anymore. The 48's nose moving left as its driver tested the air outside the tandem, looking for an angle. He adjusted, kept the push clean. Reeves held his line. 9 to go, you're good. The grandstands were a blur of color in his peripheral vision. He had been at Daytona for 8 years in various forms and he had never won it. And the closest he had come was 4 years ago when he ran out of fuel on the white flag lap, which was the kind of memory that lived in a specific location in the body, not the brain but somewhere lower. Something that tightened when the last lap started counting down. He breathed. He pushed. He waited. Dana's voice cut in sharper than before. The 9 just went 3 wide on the outside. They're bringing cars. 3 wide at Daytona with 9 laps to go was a declaration. Curtis understood it immediately. The 9 car was not making an opportunistic move. It was organizing something, bringing a line of cars with it up the outside, building a competing draft train that could generate enough speed to overwhelm a 2-car tandem if it got momentum. He had seen this before. He had been on both sides of it. "How many cars in their line?" he said. 4, Dana said. The 9, the 2, the 22, and the 48 just pulled out to join them. The 48 had been behind him. Now the 48 was gone, peeled away to join the outside line, which meant the push he'd been relying on had just disappeared. He felt the loss immediately. The car lost momentum. The gap to Reeves increased by a car length. The balance of forces that had been working for 20 laps suddenly recalibrated. "Reeves, the push is gone," Curtis said. The 48 went outside. "I see it," Reeves said. His voice was still steady. "What do you want to do?" The options arranged themselves in the 2 seconds Curtis had to evaluate them. He could hold the line and see if the tandem with no push was enough. He could try to find a new partner from the cars behind, or he could go with Reeves, move them both to the inside line, concede the middle lane, force the outside line to commit to passing both of them rather than one. "Go inside," Curtis said. "Both of us. Let them try to pass on the outside." Reeves moved. Curtis followed. They established on the inside lane with 8 laps to go, and the outside line moved with them. The 9 car, now in the lead of a 4-car train, moving up alongside Reeves, and the race became a side-by-side battle that would run for however long the physics allowed it. From the pit box, Curtis heard voices he didn't usually hear on the radio. Not Dana, not his engineer. A third voice, brief and controlled. The co-owner, checking in through the team channel the way he rarely did during a race. Just 3 words. Stay the course. Curtis stayed the course. Side by side, they ran laps 7 and 6 and 5, and neither line gave ground, and the speeds were within tenths of each other. And every lap, Curtis could feel the tire degradation building in the right front, the car wanting to push up the track, asking more of him to keep it in the groove. 5 to go, Dana said. You're even with the 9 car. Reeves is still alongside them up front. The race was going to come down to the last lap. He knew it the way you know things that have no explanation, in the hands and the chest and the specific focus that closed out everything outside the track. What he didn't know was that in the next 3 laps, 2 things were going to happen that he couldn't predict and couldn't plan for, and one of them was going to give him the race and the other was going to nearly take it away. The caution came out on lap 197. A car in the back of the outside line had gotten loose in turn 4 and tapped the wall. Not a hard hit, just enough to bring out the yellow flag. Curtis heard the radio traffic change tone and saw the yellow lights on the scoring pylon and felt the involuntary clench in his stomach that every driver felt when a caution flag erased a hard-built advantage. He was third, Reeves was second, the 9 car was first. They all pitted under caution. The pit stops were the mechanical event of a season's worth of practice. 4 tires, fuel, out in under 12 seconds. His crew executed clean. Reeves's crew executed clean. The 9 car executed clean. They came out in the same order they had gone in, which was the best outcome but not the one Curtis needed. Green, white, checkered. 3 laps left, effectively. 2 laps of green racing and then a checkered, or a white flag caution and another attempt, but nobody wanted that and usually the field accommodated the desire. Curtis sat on pit road in the line of cars waiting for the pace car to speed up and thought about what the restart would look like. Reeves called him on the team channel. I can't push you from second, Reeves said. The 9 is going to gap us on the restart. I know. Unless... Reeves paused. Unless I give you my spot. Curtis was quiet for a moment. He understood what Reeves was offering. If Reeves moved back to let Curtis start second, Curtis would have a push for the restart and the direct competition with the 9 car from the front row. Reeves would lose his position but give Curtis the better shot. You'd be giving up your chance, Curtis said. We're a team, Reeves said. One of us wins today or neither of us does. You've got the faster car in clean air. I've been pushing all day. My right front is more worn than yours. The reasoning was solid. It was also a sacrifice, and Curtis didn't take sacrifices lightly. You sure? He said. Call it, Reeves said. Curtis called it. Reeves dropped back on pit road, and Curtis moved to second on the restart, and the pace car pulled off, and the field wound up, and the green flag fell. The 9 car jumped. Curtis jumped with it, and their cars were even through turn 1 and even through turn 2, and on the backstretch the push from Reeves was real and firm and straight, and Curtis drove through that push and moved his nose to the door handle of the 9 car and began to move. 1 lap to go. He was half a car length ahead when the 9 driver did the only thing left to do, which was come down off the high line and make contact. It was not a hard hit. It didn't need to be. The 9 car's nose touched Curtis's left rear quarter panel at a point in turn 3 where the banking was steep and the car was already working hard, and the result was a snap of oversteer that used up 0.2 of a second and half a car length and put Curtis's heart in his throat. He caught it, barely. The rear end came around and he steered into it, and the car came back, and the contact had not sent him up the track because he had driven the correction before his brain had formally processed the need to. "That was yours to give," Curtis said. "You know that." Reeves shook his head. "My car was done. You had more left." "Still, win it again next year," Reeves said. "That'll be enough." The trophy presentation happened and the media happened, and Curtis answered the same question 12 different ways, which was the work of victory, the same as setup sheets and tire management were the work of preparation, and he did it with patience because it was required and because he understood it as part of the whole thing. Afterward, in the quieter space near the hauler, he found himself standing next to the co-owner. They did not have the kind of relationship that involved a lot of direct conversation. Their communication usually went through the team structure, through the sporting side, through the layers of a professional operation. The co-owner was holding a water bottle and watching the activity around the car with an expression that was different from the ones Curtis usually saw in a business context. It was less managed, more direct. "You drove the bottom in 4, the co-owner said. It was not a question. "Yes, I watched it from up top. The 9 came up exactly the way you needed it to. I thought it might." A pause. "Did you know, or did you think?" Curtis considered the question. It was an honest question, and it deserved an honest answer. "I thought," he said, "based on 200 laps of watching. So somewhere between guessing and knowing." The co-owner nodded. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said simply, "Good race." That was all. He moved away to speak with someone else. Curtis stood by the hauler and looked at the track, which was being cleared now of the equipment and personnel and machinery that a 500-mile race requires. The grandstands were emptying. The light was moving into late afternoon. Alicia came up beside him with a clipboard, which was the most characteristic thing about her. Even on a day like this, there was a clipboard. "The car goes to inspection in the morning," she said. "I know. I'm not worried about it. We built it clean." "I know," he said again. She looked at her clipboard and then looked at the track. "What are you thinking about?" He thought about the question honestly. He was thinking about the cool-down lap, the banking through the tires at 60 miles per hour, the particular fact of a thing you have spent years working toward becoming, for 30 seconds, a physical experience you could feel in your hands. "I'm thinking about the lap after," he said. She looked at him. "The cool-down lap," he said. "After you cross the line. The track feels different when you've won it. I don't know how to explain that except to say it's true." Alicia was quiet for a moment. She was a precise person and not given to an exactness, and so what she said next surprised him. "I felt it from the pit box," she said. "When you crossed the line, the track looked different." He believed her. She went back to her clipboard and back to the work, because the work did not stop at the end of the race, and because she was the kind of person who understood that continuing to work was itself a form of honoring what had just happened. Curtis put his hand on the car. The bodywork was still warm. The left rear had a small crease from the contact in turn 3, a flaw in the paint and metal that was also a record. This specific moment, this specific race inscribed in the material. He left it there and went to do the rest of what the day required, carrying the cool-down lap with him the way you carry things that don't need to be thought about to be kept. The hauler doors closed. The garage lights came on in the dimming afternoon. Tomorrow the work started again. It always did. That was the part he trusted most.